Hello and welcome to Let the Rest Burn. I am here with Fitz Koehler from Fitzness. She is noisy, bossy, compelling, and she is here to help you be better and do better. And I cannot wait to get into what makes her her and how she is who she is. Welcome, 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 Fitz. Thank you for coming on my podcast today. Can you let my listeners know who you are, what you do, what you're all about? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi Coco. So pow, we talked about exploding on your audience. So kapow, I'm ready to do that. So yeah, I make happy noise. I boss people around. I have a master's in exercise and sports sciences. I'm a speaker, a busy keynote speaker. I talk to corporations and help either their consumer or their employees do better and be better. So everything functions at a higher level. I'm an author. I have 3 recent books: My Noisy Cancer Comeback, Your Healthy Cancer Comeback, and the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal. I'm a professional race announcer, so I host some of the most iconic, largest running events in America, from the Los Angeles Marathon to Fargo, Buffalo Marathon, Gasparilla, you name it, which is just such a killer thing to do. I have so much fun. And what else? I don't know. I do mass media. Anything I can do to help people do better, be better by making fitness understandable, attainable, and fun is what I do.
Oh, I can't tell you how powerful it is to just have somebody in that arena that has that perspective and that kind of energy. I as a trauma therapist and healer, there's so much trauma around our bodies and around
Yeah.
our ability to actually be motivated to do what we want to do and to get the fitness we want to have.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know you've heard this 1,000 times, but I want to say it. It's so good to find people in this industry that know their stuff and that have lived lives that are not just your typical life. And I'm excited to get into it today, but I can't tell you how wonderful it is to have somebody on the show that has actually had experiences that will help people understand that it is attainable, it is real, and it is possible. So I'm so glad that you are here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay. So, Fitz, the question I ask everybody on this podcast that kind of digs us into um, how you are showing up today, the way that you are, is what did you have to burn? What belief systems? What mentality? Whatever word you want to put in there. What
Yeah.
did you have to burn in order to get to where you are today?
I would say the most important thing is my efforts to control things that I couldn't.
Oh.
So I am very strict on, I control what I can, and the other things I just poof, let them go. What
Mm,
other people think of me is not my business. I cannot control those things. On occasion it's a business partner or
mm-hmm.
not partner, and there's just things that I can't control. So I let them go. I let them go, and that has meant all the difference in the world for my mental health
Mm-hmm.
and my physical health and my success. Because when you control the things that you can and you lean into those things, you really have the opportunity to push the needle forward. And I do. I am very aggressive on the things that I can control, and it's made all the
Mm-hmm.
difference in the world.
Yeah, it's like you're focusing all of your attention and energy. I was going to say attenergy.
That's energy. That's right.
A tenergy.
Yeah.
You're focusing all your attention and energy in a direction you can actually move the needle forward
Yeah.
instead of spinning in the same
Well,
place.
that's a thing. On the flip side, you could just waste so much energy. I
Yes.
just cannot waste energy. I mean, whether
Mm-hmm.
people are busy. I travel all over the country all the time. So people always say, "Oh my gosh, you're so busy." And that's true. But we're all busy. Just because I'm on a plane
Mm-hmm.
more than most people doesn't mean I'm busier. But I have managed to dump the nonsense. I do not major in stupidity. I will not do it. I will not do it to
Mm-hmm.
myself. I will not engage in other people. And yeah, if you want to be stupid, go be it by yourself. And I'm not going to worry about it. And hooray, it's freed me. It's freed me from so much. I wish everybody could and would make this decision for themselves.
How did you get there? How did you get to a place where you could let it all go?
Um, I'm pragmatic. There's a couple things going on. So, number one, I'm a joy addict. I
Mm-hmm.
prefer joy. So, you know how some people love being in drama or they love worrying. My mother-in-law loves worrying, worrying, worrying.
Yeah.
It feeds her soul. It
Mm-hmm.
corrupts mine. So, worrying, I know and worrying has never like finished a war or cured a disease. Worrying doesn't help jack. So just the action of it, talking about it, bemoaning it doesn't
Yeah.
help. So the pragmatic part of me says, well, that's kind of stupid. I'm just not going to do things that are stupid. And then the happy part of me prefers joy. So, right now one of my dogs is in the hospital and it's
Mhm.
very sad. But if I just sat on the couch and boo-hooed about him being on the hospital, it's not going to fix. I could have canceled this interview and said,
Mhm.
Coco, sorry, my dog's in the hospital. What is that going to do? How is that going to help his
Yeah.
case? And so I will do all the things that help his case. He's going to be fine. And when he gets home, man, I am going to love that dog up like no one else's business. But I've learned through pragmatic
Mhm.
decisions and from choosing joy that trying to control other people or things that are just like the weather. People complain about
Right.
the freaking weather. Are you
All
kidding
the
me?
time.
What?
All the time.
I mean, I live in Florida. On occasion, people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's so hot." No shit, it's hot. This is why most of us are here. Oh, it's raining. Yes, and most of us love it. If you don't like the rain, go to a dry place, right? Go to California,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
but don't
Yes.
complain. Don't. Anyways, vent over.
Yes. Well, so and I would love to hear the difference for you because I completely agree. I will be honest, when I am all about holding space for hard things, which I want to get into in a second, but the worrying or the incessant returning to
Yeah,
the place that you cannot change or the things that you cannot shift and creating the emotional state of complaining or fixation on that worry
yeah,
is miserable. And a lot of people, I will say this, people don't always choose to do this. Sometimes it's a learned behavior or it's a trauma response that their
right,
nervous system uses. That doesn't mean it has to continue to be, right?
right.
It can be something you can get through and get to the other side of with the right resources and tools. But I think for many of us, there is some choice in this thought process and this returning to this consistent and constant cycle of what's not working, what's not okay, and what is awful in our lives. And this puts us in a position that demotivates us. It puts
Yeah.
us in a place of lethargy. So, my question to you is, what's the difference between worrying and like creating space for hard emotions, just emotions that are valuable but not necessarily worrying?
So I can go back. I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but I had cancer a few years ago and it was pretty ugly. I had
Mm.
breast cancer. I was diagnosed in 2019. 7 weeks after a sparkling clean mammogram, I
Wow.
found a lump and it was a sizey lump. I,
Mhm.
uh, I took immediate action, called the physicians immediately. So within about a week, I had the appointments and the scans and the
Mhm.
biopsies. It said, "Hey, Fitz, you have cancer and it's running through you like wildfire."
Wow.
So I definitely thought I was going to die. I'm such a Tigger, but boy, I was in ER for a little while. And
Yeah.
my doctor finally convinced me. He said, "No, this what you have is curable. We're going to cure you. You're going to have to endure the cure. There's going to be some suffering involved, but you're going to get there," which was great news.
Yeah.
But I'm not unhuman, so even though
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
choose joy, the reality is cancer is terrifying and it's scary and it comes with a lot of
Mhm.
scary things, the scans and the
Mhm.
constant being a pincushion was stressful. The drugs that
Yes.
made me sick were stressful. And so what I decided was when I needed to cry, I would. Normally I would do it
Mhm.
alone. I mean, the cancer experience is so overwhelming to your family. So I
Yeah.
didn't want to
Yeah.
burden my kids. I would go in my car, I would go in my bathroom, and I would boo hoo and get it out. But then I would dry up my eyes and I would get on with
Mm.
it. I didn't bask in the misery. And that's the difference is can you feel
Yes.
something? Can you shed some tears? Can you have a little vent? Something make you so mad. You tell your best friend about it, but then do you need to harp
Yes.
on it all freaking day? Do you need to let everybody know? Do you need to rain on everybody's parade, letting them know, I'm scared, I'm scared, we have to do it. Or we have to talk about it. And talking is not bad, but I never basked in the misery. And that's where I
Mhm.
found the delineation is I could feel sad, I could cry, I could grieve, but then there was 23 and a half other hours in the day and I was committed to controlling what I could. It's
Yes.
really the things that I can control is, well, can I get some rest? Can I
Mhm.
exercise? Can I cuddle with my dog? Can I be
Mhm.
outside in the fresh air? It's a learned behavior. So I do
Mm.
have the natural happy gene. Lucky me. My heart breaks for people who are naturally sad that I can
Mhm.
only imagine how painful that can be. However, I was overweight and I was a bulimic. So fitness and being trim didn't come as a natural thing to me. I paid attention to the science when I learned it, and then I implemented things.
Yes.
It wasn't easy. I did it all the wrong way. And then finally I followed the steps and I stayed
Mhm.
disciplined. And then I had a healthy body and I was able to remove myself from that eating disorder. So, joy can also be a learned behavior. It can be a choice and it can be
Yes.
something you invest in with discipline multiple times a day, every day of the week in order
Mhm.
to get to a more natural state of happy.
Yes. Ooh, you had so many good nuggets in there that I want to highlight. And, thank you for sharing. I think that, it's part of your journey and I know you talk about it, but it's still vulnerable every time we speak those words, right? And I think it's extremely powerful for people to hear like how someone navigates a diagnosis like that, how someone navigates a hard thing, the thing we're all afraid of, right? We all have these big fears that are very universal. Cancer is one of them. And I think that I have seen so much power in the containment of certain emotional experiences when you're navigating big crisis. So I'm a trauma therapist, so I help people through really, really tough things
Yeah,
often. But we don't focus on the tough thing the whole time. It is extremely important to laugh and have fun and experience joy, even at the end of your life, even
that's right.
on the worst day of your life. I have so many clients come in and say to me, we were sitting in the hospital room, my loved one was passing away. We were all sad, but then somebody said something and we all laughed.
Yeah,
And that moment felt so free and alive and human. And immediately they usually feel guilty afterwards. And it's like, no, 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 no. That's the beauty of the human experience is you can have one moment that is the hardest moment of your life. And the next moment can be the most joyous moment of your life. And that's the complexity of humanity and the beautiful part about being human. And so you've named it in a way that I think really benefited you, but can also benefit people who are dealing with really tough stuff.
so yes, and obviously you're the expert on that stuff. But it's funny, my memoir, this one, the reason that I wrote it was because things had gotten so bad, but they got so bad they were hilarious. And it was in that position where I thought, this is funny. This is so funny. And
Yeah.
shame on you if you can't laugh at yourself. Was it
Yeah.
horrible? Was every part of me brutalized and
Mhm.
obliterated? Yes, it was bad. But I also kept thinking, oh, this is so funny. I mean, just it's preposterous. Things got
Yeah.
preposterous. And I had never thought I'm going to write a book. In fact, we didn't take photos. I didn't want to document any of the suffering. I just
Mhm.
wanted to go away. But then I started thinking, like, you know what? People would get a real kick out of this because when I was diagnosed, what I chose to do is I had to tell people I had cancer because I was going to show up on these stages all around America bald. I never wore a wig, so they were going to start asking. So I made a blanket statement: "Hey
Mhm.
guys, on video, I have breast cancer. It's going to be fine. I'm going to live. I will not accept pity. You can cheer for me, but I'm going to show up where I'm supposed to, and that'll be that." And then as things went on, I know my place in the world, which is a beacon of
Mhm.
health and happiness. It's not of pain and
Yes.
suffering. So I chose when people said, "How are you?" I would say, "Fine." I did not need them to know at the time. Now,
Mhm.
this is where I controlled what I could. I didn't need it for them. I also didn't need it for me. I don't enjoy pity.
Yeah.
I'm real averse to pity, so much to the extent where I don't wear pink ribbons.
Mhm.
At most everyone's breast cancer. I'm going to wear pink and put the pink ribbon. I'm going to have the warrior on my chest and I'm going to rock out team breast cancer. F that. This disease has had enough place of honor on my chest. I will not wear a ribbon. I do not identify with the pink ribbon. Now, I support the cause? You betcha. I support all
Mhm.
sorts of breast cancer causes, but that ribbon makes me feel like a victim. I
Mhm.
won't have any of it. I just won't do it. That a shirt that said cancer warrior, people kept sending them to me. I kept giving them away. I
Yeah.
won't have any of it. So, I made those choices, but I thought funny. And with cancer, you're not, you know, it, only if you've had it can you say, hey, cancer can be hilarious. So I
Mhm.
love the fact that people say with my memoir, they say, I cried, but I laughed a lot more. And that's the end goal with that one. But where you're talking
Yes.
about choosing joy. So in this book, it's all about exercise, nutrition, and so forth. But do you know what strawberry moments are?
No, tell me.
Okay, you're gonna love this. So,
I'm
um,
excited.
I learned about strawberry moments where both of my kids, they go to this sleepaway summer camp out in the woods here in north central Florida. And every night, all the kids gather in the cabin and they each have to go around and talk about their strawberry moments for each day. And strawberry moments are the best part of your day. And
Mm.
so at summer camp, strawberry moment might be winning a canoeing race or learning a new song, right? With cancer, it could be a good news day. It could be getting a great text from an old friend. It could be just a walk with your dog. So, this book is filled again, fitness, nutrition,
Mhm.
hardcore, hold your hand during treatment and after. But then in the back, there's a chapter it's called like complementary care and things to brighten your day. And so I talk about doing strawberry moments every day. And then in the Healthy Cancer Comeback Journal, the first half is all prompts like feelings and fears and documenting your cancer nonsense and then the funny stuff, because we got to focus on the funny stuff. But the back half of the journal is a log to take you from sick to strong. It's documenting exercise, nutrition, sleep, and then there's strawberry moments. So I'm telling
Mm.
people every single day, you need to document, think of, and acknowledge the best thing that happened, because even with cancer, even when your loved one is dying of cancer, something wonderful happens every day. And if you focus on those things, your strawberry moments, oh, it's going to help you heal so much more quickly.
Mhm.
I truly believe that.
It really does, and I mean, at the end of the day, the present moment is all we have,
Yeah.
and we we kind of burden our present moment with the past often,
Yeah.
and we burden our present moment with the future. We call it future tripping in the industry, like tripping
Okay.
over the future, and it's this position of pulling these 2 experiences that aren't actually happening in this moment here, right? So you're not giving yourself the opportunity to face what's here. And one of the reasons people actually find so much joy in tragedy, in trauma, is because it forces them into the present moment more often than your typical day to day stuff does. And
Right.
in the present moment is so much joy. Yes, there's an immense amount of pain, fear, grief, all of those emotions too. But the thing is, you're actually facing those when they're here. They're here, you face it, you experience it, you write it, you
Right.
cry in your car, you
Yeah.
let it out, and then you take a breath and you walk outside. The sun hits your face, breeze hits your face, you hear a bird song, and you're like, wow, in just 1 second,
Yeah.
my present reality changed because I'm giving myself the opportunity to move from this
Yeah.
to this. And I would love to hear how this has impacted the way that you encourage people in fitness, because this has been something you talk about on stage. This is a place in which you have arrived far before
Right.
the cancer diagnosis.
Yeah.
So, how has this shifted or changed things for you there? How has it enhanced it?
I would say enhancing. Oh, it's so interesting with fitness. I started teaching when I was 14.
Hmm.
And I quickly fell in love, not only for myself, but the opportunity to help other people. And it was just a real
Mm.
connection with people. And I found real value in what I'm doing. I'm a diehard believer. I got my master's degree in exercise and sports sciences. It's funny. I got this fancy degree, but it's also in the most simple, stupid science in the world. It's watch what you put in your mouth, move your body, get some sleep, remove the cranky people.
Yes.
It's that's
Yes.
that's fitness. It's not so hard. A bunch of really bad people in the fitness industry have sold snake oils and diets and lies that have made
Hmm.
it complicated, but it's really not so complicated. Um, when I've just finished my 6th round of the really mean chemo. So I had 15 months of chemo with the surgery and the radiation built in, but it was the first 6 rounds were woo,
Hmm.
very difficult. And that was about 5.5 months or so. So I go into chemo round number 6 and I'm super nervous. And it's funny with something like cancer, you think chemo number 1 is super scary because you don't know what you're going to get, right? Well, at
Yeah.
some level, cancer number 6, way scarier than cancer number 1 because I knew what I was going to get, right? I knew again, I was going to be
Yes.
boom, punched right in the everything. So I go into my
Hmm.
doctors and I'm bald and I'm gray and I've got rashes and everything's wrong. And my doctor said, Fitz, you are doing so great. I looked at him and I said, what? I am not doing so great, Dr. Gordon. And he said, no, you're doing so wonderful. I said, why are you saying that? Every iota of my body has been obliterated. Like everything's gone wrong. He said, listen, I'm not suggesting you're not suffering.
Mm,
However, if you were not so fit and strong, so committed to your health coming into this and continuing through, he said, you wouldn't have been able to travel all over the United States, announcing all of these races, doing all of this stuff that you do. He said, I don't see healthy people do what you've done in the past 5 months. I don't see healthy people do that in a year. He said, and you've done it with cancer. He said, and the reality is, not only would you not have been able to do all of those things, but you likely would have been hospitalized for a month. You
mm,
likely would have had a feeding tube, which would have set you up for infection and all sorts of other things. He said,
mhm,
so yes, you're suffering, but your behavior has made this situation so much better. It's been
mm,
miraculous to see you go. And at that point I went, oh, I get it. Like it wasn't that it wasn't bad. It was just that it wasn't so much worse. And this is a man who sees all the worst all the time. And
yes.
so my commitment, my belief in fitness and its magical properties, right? And again, there's nothing
Mhm.
magic about it. You got to do the hard work. You got to make the choices. But the rewards are so spectacular. I never thought I'd write a book about cancer or anything. I never wanted to be part of cancer or anything. But, once I got halfway through, the memoir was all about like sharing the ups and downs of the experience. It's a great story. We focus a lot on mental fortitude. I think you'd appreciate it.
Mhm.
But the next two books came from my place where I was I was at my rock bottom. So even with my all of my efforts, I became skeletally thin, and I lost so much strength. In fact, my mother, I love my mom. She says, "You look like you were in the Holocaust." And I was like, "I know, I know what I look like. Thank you very much." But that was
Right.
my reality, a much different picture than what you see today. And so I'm there, skeletally thin, weak, and it never once dawned on me that I wouldn't be able to rebuild my body, rebuild my mind, get back to healthy and vibrant and athletic. Why? Because I'm a fitness instructor. I'm a fitness professional. Yay for me. I knew how to do it. And I did it. And I did it incredibly well. And I ran the Boston Marathon a little over after a year after treatment. So I did it great.
Wow.
But at that very moment where I was feeling confident about my future, I was agonizing over
Mm.
my peers. What would it be like
Mm.
to be a person who had either lost a ton of weight or more likely gained a ton of weight? People don't realize cancer patients are more likely to gain weight and than lose unless they're dying.
Yeah.
That's end of stage stuff. But
Yeah.
what is it like for them to just think, am I stuck like this? And so
Mhm.
that's where this book in the journal was born, where I just decided they need um, the guidance. They need someone, and who
Yes.
better than a fitness pro with cancer street cred, right? But
Mhm.
yeah, it's about controlling what I can and then taking this information that I have.
Mhm.
And I feel like if I did not do something with it, I would have been derelict. It was my
Mhm.
responsibility to pay it forward and help people. And that's really the only way you can accept help, I think, is like when someone brings you over food, you feel
Yeah.
kind of stupid, you feel really weak, you feel less than. It's very generous, but it's a very humbling experience when people are
Mhm.
doing these things for you that you're supposed to be able to do for
Yes.
yourself. So the only way I got through that was by saying, when I'm done, I will spend the rest of my life trying to pay this kindness forward. And
Mm.
I do feel like all of this, sharing this information, helping others is my responsibility.
Mm. Yeah, I think the exchange is really powerful, especially in the process of healing, right? Making meaning from the
Yeah.
things that have happened to us that are outside of our control, that we, especially traumatic experiences, and the art of receiving, as you
No.
said, the art of receiving is really difficult and very humbling, especially for somebody who is typically independent and strong-willed, which I'm going to imagine you
Type
are.
A. Yeah, for some other things. Yeah.
and and I think the art of receiving is much easier when we see it as an exchange, when we
Yes.
recognize it as an exchange of energy, and maybe a different, years later, but it's still
Mhm.
something that happens. And I love that you wrote these books, because I do believe that people need to feel seen by someone who has been there. who has actually experienced lived experience of this. And even if it's just a family member reading it and understanding the journey that their loved one is going through,
Yeah.
right? I imagine that these are going to be incredible resources for many people navigating this journey. So I love that you did that.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. So the Healthy and the Journal just came out. So there's what I love are oncologists are ordering them in bulk. They've
Ooh,
had their sample
look at you.
copies and they're like, we need 50. So that really gives me a lot of confidence for their understanding that these will actually be a useful tool. But Noisy has been out for 2 years, and it's incredible how many people who don't have cancer. I mean, the feedback I get from cancer patients is top notch. Thank you. I was going in a different path. This truly helped me get through my treatment with a smile on my face,
Mm,
or a reminder that I could do hard things. But the amount of other people that just say this really resonated with me, and I talk a lot about perspective, passions,
mm.
positivity, and you don't have to have cancer to force those things in your life. When I say force, I mean shove it into your life. You choose. You've
Yes.
got passions. Don't wait for cancer. Every single day. If you love dancing, you should dance. If you love soccer, you should
Mm-hmm.
play it, watch it, read about it. Those passions will buoy you in any situation. So passions, perspective, positivity, a quality mantra, which I had. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, Cancer, yes, but also people outside of cancer. When I do keynotes,
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, usually the room of my audience doesn't have cancer. They're just like people with a job. And so
Mm-hmm.
they're just regular people reading the book, and their feedback is pretty special. So I
Mm.
don't know. I'm working,
No, I,
working hard.
I, I think it's incredible, and I see this a lot. I do. I see people navigate tragedy or navigate difficult things, and they make meaning from it. And that's the ripple effect I talk about all the time. People ask the question, why me? Why did this happen? Why did these things happen? Why does I'm like, this is why. This is why. Because it's a random thing that occurred. You didn't
Yeah.
ask for it. But the ripple effect that comes from this is extremely positive. And we don't always focus on those pieces of the tragedy. I don't wish tragedy on anybody, but at the
Right.
same time, the ripple effect that happens is this elevation in our perspective, in our positivity, in our passion. And you give yourself permission to live the life that you have always desired to live, and you don't need cancer to do that for you, right?
No,
Like, you
no.
should be doing it regardless. It's a question I ask my clients all the time. I'll be honest with you. I say, if you get a diagnosis today that says you have 6 months to live, how would you change your life? Because you should be living that life now.
Yeah.
Don't wait for the diagnosis.
Hey, that was very empowering for me, where, I hit that fork in the road. And you quite often, when people hit the fork and they go, oh, what am I doing? I have to change. And for me, I
Hmm.
doubled down. I had already invested in a family and a
Yes.
career that I was obsessed with. I just went
Hmm.
harder. I leaned in further. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, it's tricky stuff. I would I'm no martyr. So if the world gave me a switch and I could flip it and go back and not have cancer, you bet your booty I would go back and not have cancer. However,
Yes.
I would be a
Yes.
real liar if I didn't say there were some really legitimate silver linings. There's some things where I say,
Hmm.
like, I jokingly, of course, in my family, I go, thanks, cancer. That's our joke around here when,
Yeah.
something happened as a result. Thanks, cancer. So it's just, again, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Um, and there are silver linings. There's silver linings to everything. And
Hmm.
I don't believe any deity chose me,
Right.
said, I'm going to plant a seed of doom in her boob, or that's Fitz Koehler. I think I was random. I never
Yeah.
had a why me moment.
Hmm.
And really, when you look around and you see babies with cancer, you go, well, why not
Yeah.
me? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
how obtuse could I be to think, yeah, it's all right for those babies to have cancer, but not me. I'm out in
Hmm.
the environment and I eat food, and Lord knows, I don't know what I did, but maybe there was something, or maybe it just, I don't know, maybe one cell went rogue. That was it. I am
Hmm.
grateful for my body, because I know over the years, my body has turned off so many potentially cancerous cells. My body does its job almost every day. And
Yep.
that's something to be grateful for, right?
Yes. Yes. I think that, And I do think gratitude can sometimes get a bad rap for people because they don't. Um, I've heard oftentimes when they're going through really hard things, being grateful for these other things,
Yeah.
it's almost it takes their attention away from the really
Yeah.
hard thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's why gratitude is so hard, is because it does put us back in a position of choice
Yeah.
where we finally decide, oh, wait a second, I get to choose where I focus my energy.
So when I was a kid, I would try out for all these different sports teams. My older siblings were elite. They were so good at everything and they won state championships. And I was just kind of mediocre. I love sports. I love to wear a uniform and be on a team, but I got cut from a lot of stuff. And I mean, I tried out for sports I'd never played because I just wanted to play. And I
Yeah.
get cut. And my mom was constantly saying, it's building character. And I remember at some point crying and just saying, I have enough character. But the reality is, all of those rejections set me up for a career
Mhm.
that I would be independent with, where I could grab the bull by the horns
Yes.
and do what I wanted to do, choose my own success. And all of those previous hardships, whether they were loss or aggravation, they set me up to handle this cancer experience with grace. And again, I certainly did cry. It wasn't that
Yeah.
I didn't cry, but I was able to get inside my own head. And
Mhm.
I had an MRI. Are you familiar with MRIs? Have you ever had
Mhm.
one? Yeah.
No, but I've been present.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
usually what they do is they lie someone on the bed and they on their back, and then they shove them into this tiny tube, and then Thor
Mm.
bangs his hammer, bang, bang, bang on the outside. It's very
Oh,
loud.
it's
Stress.
so loud.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm a claustrophobic person, and that's something I work on trying. Like even I go into an elevator, I count like, am I willing to be trapped with this amount of people? So
Yes.
manage my claustrophobia pretty well, but I have to have a MRI the Friday before my chemo starts on Monday. And again, because
Mm.
was moving so fast, they wanted to get me started quickly. We didn't have time to mess. And so on Friday, I go in and first of all, they give me an IV, which also I'm a needle phobe. So I'm kind of upset about that. I'm just in general scared and stressed as a new
Mhm.
cancer patient is. And they bring me into the room for the MRI. And the lady goes, okay, lie down on your face like Superman. And I was like, what? I'm supposed to lie down on my back. She goes, no, lie down on your face. And so she doesn't say, put your long hair in a bun or do anything. I just lie down and hair's over my face. And it's a little face cradle. It's like a dollar store version of a massage therapy cradle. So
Oh,
I'm
no.
there and she instantly takes each breast and pins them in by these metal plates. So boom, boom. Now I'm pinned down by my boobs like Superman, thinking, what is going on with the needle in my arm? And, it's all just getting worse. And then she shoves me into the machine and says, don't move for 45 minutes. And the second I
Oh.
get in there, I feel like someone has put a tube sock in my mouth and I just lose my marbles. I go crazy. They're screaming and flailing and begging and I'm still pinned down by the boobs. Get me out. Blah, blah, blah. So she pulls me out and now she's angry. And she's like, you need to get back in there. And I stayed late for you. And if you don't get back and get this MRI, they're not going to start your chemo on Monday. And that cancer is going to keep going through you, blah, blah, blah. And I was just hyperventilating, saying, please, please, please let me get back in. I just need to crack my back and put my hair up and, whatever. We managed it, took the socks off. And then I got back in and she pushed me back into this, what felt like my coffin, right? So I'm lying there knowing I have to do it. And so this is what starts happening. And this is what I think everybody should do. And I talk about these a lot in the keynotes, but it was that voice inside my head. And instead of the
Mm.
voice saying, you're going to die and this is awful and blah, 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 what my voice said is, Fitz, you have done so many hard things before. You have built a global business. You have raised two great children. You used to be a competitive kickboxer. You can do hard things. You can do this. And so for 45 minutes straight. Now, if somebody walked into the room and they saw me, they would just think, oh, Fitz is taking a nap, right? But the amount of turmoil that was going on inside me at that moment was in just beyond, but it was her. She was in there and she kept
Mm.
talking me up instead of putting me down. And she had done it over and over and over again for 45 minutes solid, that eventually the lady let me out of the machine. And I learned on that day that if I wanted to survive, I was
Mm.
going to constantly have to do things that terrified me.
Yeah.
And the only way I got through it was that awesome little voice in my head that kept saying, get it done. Just sit there It'll be over in a second. You got this. It'll be fine. You'll get through it. And I did. Was it hard? Was it horrible? Was it all of those things? It was everything you'd imagine cancer to be tenfold. It was worse. It
Mhm.
was that bad. However, she was in charge of me. And but I wish everybody a wonderful voice in their head. And maybe you weren't born with it, but can you create it? Yes, it's
Yeah.
learned behavior, and it's practice makes perfect. And so
Mhm.
when you get scared, when you get frustrated, talk yourself through it. Don't, you wouldn't
Mhm.
let anybody else talk to you the way you often talk to yourself. So be the coach inside your head. It's a very powerful weapon against fear and
Mhm.
pain.
Yes. Oh, that's a very powerful story.
Thank you.
Yeah, and very clearly illustrates surrender and this moment where when we can't control our circumstances and we are faced with that hard thing, you make a choice.
Yeah.
And that choice is, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk myself through this in a way that is supportive and compassionate and motivating and loving, or I can sit and spin in absolute terror that whole time. And I find that voice to be louder when we're still,
Mm,
but she comes in all
yeah.
forms. But I do think that I say this with my clients often. I say, she's there. She might be duct taped and locked in the closet, and all your shadows might be running
Yeah.
the show, right? But she's still there, and you can go in and open the closet. You can let
Wow.
her out. You can have her be the one with the microphone in your head. Those other voices might still be there, but the one with the microphone is the one that matters. And finding that true self, that big S, however we want to call it, is so, so important in any healing journey
Yeah.
because that is what shapes so many components in your life, your choices, your thoughts, your decisions. And that is what we can control. That is our inner world. That is what we can shift with hard work, with diligence, with
Yeah.
determination, with
Mhm.
repetitive action. You can't just
Yeah.
oh, okay, I've listened to this great podcast and I'm just going to snap my fingers and I'm going to talk kindly to myself for the rest of my life. You know what? That would be amazing. And
Right?
that would be, please message me if you can do that. But what it really is about showing up every single day and making
Yeah.
that commitment, just like you said. So I
Yeah.
think you have such powerful words of wisdom.
Oh, thank
You
you.
really, really do. I would love for you to, tell my listeners, tell my everybody who's listening right now, how can they find you? What are you doing right now? How, like, if they want to be in your world, what's
Yeah.
the best way to get in?
I want them in my world. Thank you. So
Yes.
fitzness.com, that's FITZNESS.com. That's my home base for everything. Fitzness.com is jam-packed with all sorts of articles and workout videos for free and recipes and things that will help you live better and longer by making fitness understandable, attainable, and fun. So I want everyone to visit there. Just find something that resonates with you and helps you do better today. My books are there. My online courses are there. If you want these products, all the books leave my office. They're signed. So my books are available wherever books are sold, audiobook, ebook, yada, yada. But the ones that come out of my office are signed and they come with a free
Mm,
gift and they're wrapped with pretty paper with love because I want my readers to feel special. But I'm also on social media. I'm at Fitzness on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And I love LinkedIn connections. And then, I travel around the country announcing these races. Now, some people think, oh, marathon, you got to be super fast and fit. Well, not necessarily. I got a lot of obese people doing marathons, a lot of 90-year-olds doing marathons, people with no legs doing marathons. But I also host 5Ks and 1 mile races. And I would say a good majority of my athletes, they run and walk or they exclusively walk. And so
mm,
if you come out to one of my events, I promise a big hug at the start. You can introduce yourself. I love meeting. I've been on other podcasts before and I've definitely had listeners come up and say, I heard you on so and so's podcast. And, you would think we grew up together.
hmm,
I love loving on people and I love congratulating folks at a finish line. Nothing intimidating about what I do or the people that um, come see me. And yeah, I'm available for keynotes too. So if you have a business and you would like those folks to reach higher heights,
mhm.
fitzness.com. I'm reachable very easily. If you want me, you can find me.
Ooh, I love that. I love it. And honestly, like I just knowing who my viewers are and my listeners are, I can imagine many of them will reach out to you
I
because
hope.
I, I think there's just it's unique. You are unique, and at the same time, like your energy is extremely magnetic.
Oh,
So
thanks.
I am very excited to see you continue this work. I will definitely be ordering those books. I will have them in my office for any
Thank you.
clients that need or want to
Thank you.
glance at them and then purchase their own.
Well, that's right. And you know what, Coco? It's funny because I hope nobody listening to me has cancer right now, right? That's what
Mm-hmm.
my hope is,
Yeah.
that none of you have it. You've not had it. You don't have it now.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is, every last one of us loves someone with cancer. Right? We
Yes.
all care about
Yes.
somebody, and when our loved person is diagnosed, we instantly think, God, I wish there was something we can do. Well, this is a
Mm-hmm.
thing you can do. This is a thing that
Yes.
you can make an actual impact on their health, on their well-being, physical and mental, and that's what they were designed for. And apparently, they're quite effective. So, thank you.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. I appreciate you. And I know that I will continue to watch your journey. And for everybody who is listening, continue to face the hard things, refocus your energy on what you can control, and let the rest burn.